Hello everyone, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Naughty Autie in Conversation. I'm your host, Harry Thompson, and today I'm joined by Rose, who is 12 years old, and Rose is autistic and PDA. Hi, Rose.
Hello.
Hello. What's that like to hear that when I say Rose is autistic and PDA? Does that make you feel proud, or does it not do anything to you? Or...
Well, I mean, it does sort of feel a bit strange being called like with PDA, but doesn't really feel anything. No.
Yeah. Is it something that you accept and embrace about yourself, would you say?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, it is a big part of my life, but what was the question again?
Is it something that you embrace?
No, not really.
No, not really. You
You
wish you didn't have it?
but there's nothing I could do, so I've learned to live with it.
Yeah. Would you say that there's a part of you that wishes that you could be normal, whatever normal means?
Yep. A lot of the time, because usually I find it really hard in like group projects, and of course like all the other kids probably think I'm being lazy or something, and yeah, that's probably the worst thing about it.
Yeah, because I suppose for many of us, when we're autistic and PDA and we're your age, a lot of our experiences aren't particularly nice and pleasant. You know, we're made to feel that being the way we are is a bad thing because it can be very, very difficult for other people to accept us. And if other people can't accept us, then it makes it very, very hard for us to accept ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what's school like?
Well, I mean, I'd say it's the best school I've like been to because I feel like they understand it a lot more than any other school has.
Yeah.
So I'd say it could be a lot worse. So I'm pretty lucky where I go to.
Yeah. Okay. And what kinds of experiences have you had?
Well, basically just being told, I'm lazy and, being sent out all the time. But I don't get it as much now. But yeah, I used to get it a lot in, my old school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically being really terrible at group projects.
Terrible in what way?
Well, it's hard to explain, but it's almost like I always find myself doing the least amount of work, and not really knowing what's going on. And yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
not always like that, but yeah, most of the time.
Doing the least amount of work. Like, so what is it about the work? Is it that the work is boring or difficult or pointless or all of the above?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, but sometimes I get really self-conscious if I mess up, or I don't really know. It's just I don't really know.
Yeah. Because if you mess up, as you put it, what usually happens? Like, is it something you get told off for? Is it something that the other kids notice? Or is it within you? Like, do you feel that you need to meet a certain standard?
Yeah, I feel like I need to reach a certain standard.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I feel like trying doesn't help because people always said just like try harder, and I feel like trying it doesn't really help. I feel like trying almost makes it harder.
Okay.
In a weird way.
When we try really hard, it makes the process more difficult. It makes it harder, doesn't it? Because we're putting more effort into it, and that takes more energy.
Yeah.
Then we feel like we're trying for no reason, or at least I do. If I'm trying really hard to do something that doesn't come naturally to me, it's like, gosh, I feel like I'm kidding myself, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In English today, we were trying to learn about how to make a superhero animal, and it was just so hard, much harder than like it should have been, because I just couldn't. Nothing came to mind. Nothing seemed good enough to put my effort in, and yeah, like everyone on my table thought I was just being lazy. They said it to my face, and I was like,
Yeah, that's got to really sting, because you've used that word a couple of times now, lazy.
yeah.
As seemingly people have called you that a lot of the time. But do you see yourself as lazy?
I don't think so. I mean, most of the time I tried to explain it to him, but I just felt like an idiot. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm lazy, but I could understand why other people might think that, and I can't really blame them for it.
Yeah. So is this part of why you want to not be autistic, so that people might be able to, not call you those things anymore?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be nice.
Hmm. So when you're not in school, do you, in the autistic community, we call it special interests. So these are activities that we kind of immerse ourselves in, that are like, the most nutritious brain food, things that we just do without thinking and we lose ourselves in. Have you got any of those activities?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say drawing is something I do without thinking, but I do it a lot.
Mm.
Um, especially in school.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you do it? So drawing, like when you're doing art at school, is this a lesson that you find easier, or is it, or not necessarily?
I mean, I'd say it depends on what we're doing,
Mm.
because I mean, in art, um, it's like you have to do what you're told. So you have to do a specific, art style of a specific artist and learn about them, like cubism. And I find that really hard. Like being told what to draw, or like people saying, like, can you please draw this for me? Or I feel like when I'm allowed to draw, it's not as easy. And I don't know why. And I wish it wasn't like that.
Yeah, yeah. But when you're doing it alone, do you have like a routine? Like, do you set aside time to do your art, or is it something you just do when you feel inspired?
Yeah, I think I just do it when, yeah, I'm inspired, or when I sort of feel like it, and when there's nothing really much to do.
Hmm. And what helps with inspiration? If you know what helps, because for me, I'm a writer. So for me, it's just a matter of waiting and hoping for the best sometimes, because I know that if I force myself to do anything, it's never, ever, ever going to work, because it doesn't work like that. So when I least expect it, ideas will just flood into my head. And that's the time for me to get writing.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens to me.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't specifically get inspired by something, but um, I just sort of pick up a pencil and I forget how much I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Do you have anyone whom you would call a true friend?
Um, no, I don't think so. Um, I wish I did, but hopefully I will when I join Scouts or something like that.
All right. So is that coming up? Is it joining Scouts?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Why do you think it's so hard to make friends?
I think sense of humor and trust is two very important things, and I haven't really met anyone with the same sort of humor that I do, except this kid online, who is we're pretty solid friends,
That's good.
but I've never met him in real life.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I usually tell parents that's why the online world is so important for a lot of kids like you, because you are able to experience those true connections where you might not in real life, and they're very important to hang on to, because
yeah,
it's not as easy as just going to school and just making friends, is it?
no, it's a lot harder than that,
Yeah.
because I always thought that I was a really like extroverted person in the summer holidays,
Mm.
but I realized I'm really not. So yeah, I'd say I have made acquaintances, but no true friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this guy online, whose name is Pierce. I'd say we're like pretty solid friends. We've been friends for a year, but like I said, I've never met him.
Yeah.
In my life.
Yeah. Because yeah, I suppose it can get lonely, can't it, for people like
So
that?
lonely.
Yeah, and that's hard because, oh, you know, a lot of people think mistakenly that autistic people just want to be alone. And just because we may avoid certain people, that doesn't mean that being alone is the ideal. It's just that we can't seem to make it work. Because either we might do something that kind of freaks everyone out, like you mentioned the humor thing, right? And I remember you're 12, right?
Yep.
Yeah, at that age, I was always like freaking people out by some of the stuff I'd come up with, and so that would be a reason why a lot of people wouldn't necessarily want to be friends with me. But then similarly, gosh, it would be confusing because like I'd be so desperate for friends at certain points that I wouldn't be selective. It's just like, oh, just be friends with anyone. But then sometimes you befriend people who may take advantage of you and notice that you're different, and then bring it up and you know, bully you for those differences. Because it is very, it's a tricky one, right? Like I'm not in my position. If I get asked, oh, how can I get my child to make friends more? I don't like the way questions like that are phrased. How do I get my child to? Because it sounds demanding, doesn't it? But I'm like, I don't know, because other autistic and PDA kids don't just grow on trees. You know, we don't have our pick of the bunch when we go into school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really annoying.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, you're totally right. But yeah,
Yeah. It's a tough one.
I mean, I'd say what would count as a friend would be someone you can just be yourself with.
Yes.
And I think Pierce is the only guy, because it feels like when I go into school, I'm a completely different person. Like I don't even really have much control.
Okay.
And it's just, I mean, it's not like I'm out of control or anything. It's just, I'm just not me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is interesting. This is a very interesting point, because it can go either way. Now, for some children, they go into school and they kind of let everything out, and they're quite disruptive and naughty and get into a lot of trouble. But for other children, they may go into school and really, really, really clamp down on their true self and suppress their behaviors and act in a way that they know the teachers want to, you know, require of them. So when you say you go into school as a different person, or you become a different person in school, what does that person look like, and how is it different from who you are at home?
Well, mostly I just have to laugh at dumb bean jokes and stuff. And well, I mean, maybe not being myself was a bit dramatic, but it's like, um, you know, I have to pretend that I really like sports because I know all the other kids really like sports, but in the truth, I really hate it.
Right.
And you know, I have to be a lot more careful with what I say around 12-year-olds. I mean, everyone at my school is just so concerned, about everything. Like, oh, don't say that, you might upset those kinds of people. And like, 12.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be mindful of what I say, but it's just kind of annoying,
Yeah. Well, that sounds very restrictive. So maybe you're not being a different person, but maybe you've got to really restrain yourself in those situations.
Mm.
And that takes a lot of energy.
I mean, yeah, this kid at my school, like I hit my foot on like some sort of like table and I was like, ah, shit. And then this kid, Charlie, acting like my mum, being all like, oh, you shouldn't say shit. It just makes you seem like you don't know anything about vocabulary. And oh my God, like loosen up. So yeah, I always have to be super PG when I'm at school, and it just.
Oh God, sounds awful. Sounds terrible. But so the same thing happened to me on my page the other day. I wrote a post in defense of the word fuck. And some people were saying, oh, people only use that word when they have a limited vocabulary.
That's not true.
No, why is it not true? Because I don't think it's true either.
No. Yeah. So
people said it, my argument is it depends, right? So if a person uses that word instead of or in place of other words that they may not necessarily know about, then perhaps that's an indication of a limited vocabulary. But actually there can be an art to swearing. It provides emphasis, and some emotions, especially the emotions that we feel, God, they don't even have words. So you can just use these swear words to really, really, really convey the point and what you mean. And
there's a reason why there are swear words.
Yeah.
Because if you say them all the time, it kind of like, I guess if you say it doesn't really mean anything. But I feel like, I feel like that's the whole point of swear words.
Yeah.
But I only say them when I'm like in a heightened emotion state,
Right. Yeah. Because they're stress relieving as well. It's like, gosh, what better way to release all this stress than to convey it through the vehicle of swearing. So there's that too. So I want to return to what you were saying about how you said you have to pretend that you're interested in sports even though you're not. So what happens to you in that situation? Why do you have to pretend?
Well, I guess I just really want to be with the popular kids. And all the popular kids really like football. I hate football and basketball. I love cricket. I love rounders. Anything that uses a bat and I don't have to get in people's faces, I really like. But the thing that everyone else likes is basketball. So I have to play in basketball because only like the really weird kids don't play basketball. And
yeah. So you would risk becoming a weird kid if you opted out of basketball?
Yeah.
So what's the problem with being a weird kid?
Well, they're just sort of, I don't know, isolated, and I don't know, they don't really talk to anyone.
Right.
And I don't really want to be grouped in with that because I love talking to people. I mean, not to say like the weird kids, okay, maybe a weird kid was a bad word, but the quiet kids, I mean, I don't really want to be grouped in with them. Not to say that they're bad or anything.
Sure. No, it's a really interesting insight into status at your age, because I suppose you're at that age now where people start trying really, really hard to find their identity, find who they are, and other children model that all the time. So we are kind of we become aware of perhaps a good way to be and a bad way to be. And I suppose, if we've experienced a lot of rejection and bullying, then gosh, if we are one of these quieter kids, then gosh, it's a stark reminder of loneliness and isolation and being left in the dark. And no one wants that, do they?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say I've ever been a victim of like bullying as such, but now I look back, I could tell that people at my old school really didn't like me.
Mm.
So I think I've done everything to not be what I was, so people wouldn't like me. But I feel like I can't win.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's really, really hard. Especially like what do we get told? You know, we get told to be ourselves.
But not in that way.
No, but not in
No.
that way. Exactly. So it's like,
Yeah.
hang on, do you really mean that? Be yourself so long as you are yourself in a way that I approve of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if you are any other yourself, then yeah, there are going to be consequences.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there are times where you should, tone it down a little, but yeah, I feel like you should always be yourself. And, you know, don't really, listen to anyone, but that's the most basic advice like
Yeah, no,
anyone could ever say. But
yeah, it's good advice. Sometimes I guess we do have to tone it down a little bit because, yeah, for all
like in a
sorts.
job interview or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe don't tell your offensive jokes in the job interview. That's definitely what it is. No, but that's a good point. Like, if you were to, like, so I was thinking, if the ideal world existed, would you be normal, or would you live in a world that's more accepting of people like you?
I think I live in a world where that's a tough one.
Mm.
um, I think I would live in a world where I was like people like us were accepted,
Yeah.
because though it sucks now, my mum and well a few teachers keep saying it's a gift,
Mm.
because my mum keeps talking about hyper focus,
Mm-hmm.
so do teachers. I think you mentioned it as well, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say it's been quite useful. I mean, I've gathered a lot of information from hyper focusing on a certain subject or thing I was into. So
Yeah.
I
That's.
don't. Mm,
Yes, you were still talking, John.
oh no, I kind of finished anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I did mention that because I think at one point you had cause to doubt whether you were autistic on the basis of being around other autistic people who who
I guess
with
it's a
who
huge umbrella. So
you didn't identify. Yeah, yeah. And I said, well, um, I suppose what really characterizes autistic experience is that tendency to become uber interested in things to the point we do hyper focus and just block the world out and yeah, lose ourselves in our interests, which is very hard to do at school.
mm, I mean, it's hard to. I mean, the thing that I usually think. I mean, I don't say it, but when I think is like when they ask me to do some like dumb English subject, I'm like, how do you expect me to try my hardest? I don't even want to be here. And I mean, sometimes I feel really bad for thinking that, because well, life isn't really like that. But I don't know, maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't have to be. It seems like extraordinary, really, that we are asked to try really, really hard in places we're being traumatized in. You know, it's like, I'll try really, really hard. My effort isn't a measure of how much I want to achieve my goals. It's actually a measure of, well, I'm trying really, really hard, and in return, I'm just getting a load of pain. So if I
Yeah.
try really, really hard in school, it means that I'm trying really, really hard to get hurt. And there's no logic to that.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. What kind of art do you do?
Well, mostly people. Actually, I don't think I've ever drawn a guy before. But they're much harder. But yeah, I think I just mainly draw people, and that's the only thing I'm basically good at is faces, arms, and hair.
Okay.
Mm.
What is it about faces, arms, and hair that captures your attention?
Well, you can have a lot of expression in, hands, arms, well, the whole posture, and a lot in eyebrows and eyes and mouths.
Yeah.
And I think just hair is fun.
Hair's fun. I can imagine hair is really hard to draw.
Well, I used to draw it like individual strand, but now you sort of lightly go on your pencil and sort of just, do a light outline and then sort of just shade it in really lightly upwards. So it's not all scribbly.
Do you find it satisfying?
So satisfying.
Yeah, I could tell by the way you were describing your process. I thought, wow, I'm not an artist, but that sounded brilliant.
So it's so much fun because I don't know what it is, but sharp pencils, just love sharp pencils, everything about them, the way they feel on the paper, the way they look,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's worse than a broken pencil.
Yeah, actually that's triggered my memories, because I'd get really, really upset if like the nib like snapped off. Oh, we can't.
Physical pain.
Yeah, literally. And then you sharpen it. Actually, I think I even said to my mum, when my mum said, "What's your favorite part of school?" I said, "Sharpening pencils." And she was like, "No, I mean like academic subjects." I was like, "No, sharpening pencils, just the sound
should be an academic subject
of the sharpener shaving off the wood, and then you're left with this perfect point." But then I wouldn't want to use it. I wouldn't want to use it after that. It would ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like every 10 seconds I ask this kid next to me, like, "Can I borrow your pencil sharpener, please?" Because he has like one of those ones that it has like a box to keep all the shavings in, like a plastic thing, so it doesn't like spill everywhere. And yeah, also it's a good excuse to just take a break, go to the bin and just sort of sharpen your pencil.
Yeah, that's like a sensory break, really, isn't it? So that's clever, actually. Because sometimes people, schools don't necessarily understand why it's so important for autistic kids to take sensory breaks, but they don't even have to leave the classroom. They can just go and sharpen pencils. I'm gonna tell people about that. That's a good one. Yeah. So like
top tip.
Yes. So you clearly have a fascination with people. Yeah. And I think last time I was asking you about how do you envisage yourself as an adult? Like, what would you be doing? What's like an ideal career? What was it?
I can't remember.
I think you said you were interested in psychology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do therapy or anything.
Right.
But I still think it's very, very interesting. It seems like every week what I want to be when I'm older changes.
Yeah.
I feel like, where everyone at my not old school, everyone in primary was like, "I want to be a vet," or "I want to be a train driver," or a footballer. Those are three main things. And I felt like the only one who had no idea. Of course I wasn't, but still. I think I just wanted to be a fairy.
Fairy. Yeah, I could think of worse things to be. Yeah. So do you often have this feeling that you stick out like from the rest of the kids, like maybe in a bad way?
I don't think, I think I've learned to keep most things to myself, but not everything, but like enough. So I feel like I don't really stick out as like some other kids do.
Right.
Because, there's this kid at school who nobody really likes because he's really loud. He's, he doesn't really portray himself as like the smart one. And well, yeah. And everyone treats him like a scapegoat. And I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
No, it's all right. It's all right. What do you think of South Park?
Top tier stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
It always says what I'm thinking about stuff, and whenever I'm watching, like, whenever I finished watching it, when I first, got into it, I was like, wow, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Also, it's really funny, and I love the characters. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. It's a show that certainly pushes boundaries.
Mm.
It has this tendency to use the shock factor. It's got its fingers on the pulse of society, like what's unacceptable, what's inappropriate, how and I love that as it's a very PDA thing, being into people, being fascinated by people, and also really enjoying the shock element to humor. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't sugarcoat it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we need more of. It's probably a nice release, especially for those of us who do mask a lot and we do kind of have to suppress ourselves. It's like South Park's a good antidote to that, because it's like, wow, everything is just kind of, as you said, not sugar coated. It says exactly what it says on the tin. So no, that's awesome. So I guess that ties in with what you were saying earlier about how your sense of humor is markedly different to your peers, in that they're not into the South Park stuff, the controversial, politically incorrect stuff.
Not all my, I feel like I have a very wide variety of senses of humor. I just really don't find the word beans funny at all. Saying that you're a bean or you're a fish. I mean, I said this before, but there's no build up, there's no punchline. It's just.
I'm laughing because it's not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that I can see how that would be frustrating. Definitely.
I mean, I feel like the kids at my school, well, the majority, are like that sort of lol-xd random sort of humor. And I mean, stuff like saying, "Oh, that sounds so wrong," it just sort of hurts, but I kind of get along with it, because I mean, it could be a lot worse.
Okay, well, that's a good positive outlook on what seems to be a very depressing situation of bad humor.
I mean, yeah, I feel like humor's very, I feel like it's different for basically everyone, and it's like a personal thing, because I mean, I love South Park, but I also really like Mr. Bean. I like The Office, Betweeners, but I feel like those are the main shows I like to watch.
Yeah, that's interesting. Office, In-Betweeners, South Park. I'm noticing a pattern there. That's like shows that really test boundaries. Say again.
Mr. Bean, not the cartoon. I hate the cartoon.
Right. Okay. I like the cartoon a little bit, but it's nothing like the actual show, isn't it?
I mean, I feel like I hate it so much, because in my primary school, whenever we were eating lunch or something, they'd always put on like a loop of like the episodes from the Mr. Bean the cartoon, and everyone else found it really funny. Well, not everyone else, but a lot of the kids found it funny, but I just hated the animation style. It was just ugly, and the jokes were unfunny and just predictable. And now I watch the actual live action. I mean, now I watch, the original. It just makes me think, where did it go wrong?
Yeah. I know what you mean. Well, you're a person of great taste. I'll give you that.
I feel like I have a strong opinion about almost everything.
Oh yeah. Oh, we can put that to the test. Let's think.
Well,
do you play video games?
Yep.
Fortnite, First thing that comes into your head?
8-year-olds.
Cool.
Used to be good, now it's not. And yeah, they just kept updating it, and well, I don't know, it just sucks, and the community sucks, in my opinion.
Why does the community suck?
Well, it's full of 8-year-olds and people who sweat and like play the game too much. As in, do you know what a sweat is?
I think I'm a bit old to know what that is.
Oh, it's like someone who plays the game non-stop and like levels up all the time, and you know, tries like so hard to be like really, really good at the game, and well, it's just full of them.
God, what
So,
absolute losers.
yeah, so you can't really play the game casually.
All right, cool. All right, Pokemon.
I feel like, I mean, it's good, but I don't think I could ever memorize every character there. And I feel like it's sort of, you can't really be half into it, you know? You have to be like really into it.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true. It makes a great special interest for people because it's something that you, I suppose, would have to really, really commit to for it to make sense.
I mean, I'd say it's quite nostalgic though, because I used to watch the cartoons but never know at all what's going on. And also me and my brother, when we were really young and we shared bunk beds, we used to get random items and pretend they were Pokemon. He'd always have like the best, you know, and be like 99 damage, 99 HP, but yeah,
Sorry.
still fun.
I dropped this, but it's cool. Nothing spilt. It's all good. Yeah. No, right. Cool. I see. Yeah. God, when I played it, I remember it. Well, I would have been like 4 when it came out, but it really took off in the early 2000s. And at that point, there were only. I remember when there were only 150. I think there's what, like 800 to 1,000 now.
Really? How could anyone? Oh man, that's what I mean. You have to be really into it and memorize like most of the Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many there are now, but a lot more than when I first started out. And I remember when it got banned because people were crazy for it.
Apparently, like this person died playing Pokemon Go or something. I don't know if it's just a myth, but
well, I can understand how that could happen. Like if you're just staring at your phone and walking to a road, and it doesn't pick up, objects flying around. So it makes sense. Goodness me. Yeah. So, like, when you're really stressed, do you have meltdowns or shutdowns that you know of?
I feel like I think I have meltdowns more than shutdowns. I mean, in my primary, whenever things got too much, I used to run into the bathroom and lock myself in and quietly cry. But I don't do that anymore because, things aren't really like that anymore. But yeah, I feel like that's the only time when I'd have like a shutdown. But I don't really know what a shutdown is. So
it's basically an inverted meltdown. It's when you internalize everything. You might just shut down, withdraw. Other people around you may not be able to necessarily figure out that something's wrong, which is in stark contrast to a meltdown where there's no hiding that. But people wouldn't understand. They might call it a tantrum or a spoiled kid or whatever.
I mean, yeah. I'd say when I'm upset or when I'm angry or, I feel like I like to tell people where I'm at. I don't like people trying to figure out what's going on, because if I tell them like straight what's going on, it's much easier to help, and, I won't be so meltdown.
Do people help?
But for other people, it might not be so easy.
Do people help?
Yeah, I'd say they do. Really cold. Hang on. This woman Olivia, who works at my school, she I'd say she probably is very helpful, because I like it when people, when Okay, so in primary, whenever you like get meltdown, people would talk to you like a child because, well, that's what you are and that's what they see you as. And I just hate that, like being talked down to when you're like in a panic state. And I feel like what I really like about Olivia is that when I'm really upset, she's like, we're like, do you want to go on a walk, or we're going to go on a walk in 2 minutes, like, and doesn't be like, oh, are you feeling upset, oh, do you need some
Right.
help?
She doesn't patronize you.
Yeah, because I hate that, and
Yeah.
patronizing is like the worst.
Yeah, God, who wants to be spoken down to like they're inferior? That's
Yeah,
pretty.
no one would enjoy that.
No, not at all. So Olivia's whatever Olivia does, her approach is it works with you when you're feeling really, really distressed.
Mm.
Yeah, right. And what do you know what usually like triggers it? Or could it be just a number of things?
I think it could be a number of things. I mean, I don't really get freaked out like a lot of the time, but when it does, it's usually pretty bad. I mean, it's not like screaming, kicking, or anything, but it's like my head just feels like a massive balloon, and it feels like it's just like about to burst, just like.
Yeah.
And of course, I've gotten better because I'm mature and maturing all the time. But yeah,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You're what I do. You said you feel like you're getting better as life goes on. That's a good thing. If we can, go back in time a little bit to before you started at this school now that you said is better than the others. Were you at a normal school or was it like an ASD specialist provision?
it was a different school, and it was so my last school in year 7 was an autism like school. So it was for people on the spectrum, but it was probably the worst school I've ever been to. And I'm not going to call any names, but yeah, all the teachers there were very patronizing. And this one teacher, she was like the main teacher, and I really don't. She just never got me, and I got in this fight with this kid called like Stephen. So he was like picking on this other kid, so I stood in his way, and then he like pushed me, so I pushed him back, and then he threw an apple in my head. So we got in a big fight, and then this woman Tash said it was unprovoked, and I got all the blame without even hearing the story. I mean,
Oh,
she
I can feel the sense of injustice. That is unacceptable.
yeah, she did loads of other stuff, and that school promised a lot of things that they never really gave, and it was really expensive. Like apparently, like my mum was saying, it was like super expensive. She said it was super expensive, and I didn't get not any, but I didn't get hardly any help because they promised like this sort of therapy thing, but the sort of chat, and it was only 5 minutes, and we didn't really get anything done, and there was some other kid waiting out on the door for their turn, and it was just
Yeah, so it was an autism school, but were they kind of how do I put this? Because schools like this can go either way. Either they embrace autistic experience and understand that we need to stim, we need to regulate, we need to, follow our special interests, or they're trying to make you more neurotypical kind of thing.
I don't really know. I mean, I felt like they sort of let the other kids get away with anything. I mean, I guess that's a good thing, but yeah. And I don't really think they helped. Well, they didn't help me, but they might have helped some other kids, but yeah.
Was it hard to
Apparently,
make? Was it hard to make friends there as well?
oh, I did not like a single person there. They, I feel like they had, yeah, they probably had different autism from what I did,
Right.
and they treated you like a baby who didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, always asking like, "Oh, do you need help with that?" And "Are you struggling regulating your emotions, or are you struggling knowing what I'm feeling?" Or well, basically, they thought like I couldn't
They
read.
asked that. Oh my God.
It's awful. I'm so glad I'm not there.
That is. Oh
My lord,
gosh.
I know.
That is so annoying.
Oh, yeah,
Oh dear.
yeah, but I'm not there anymore, and it's behind me. You know,
Good. Good. I'm glad. I'm
yeah.
glad.
Other teacher called Jeremy, and he was very patronizing. When I was upset, he sort of said to my face, "You're acting like a toddler." So, yep, I would not recommend.
Wait. So he was a teacher at that school.
Yep, apparently,
So you're on one hand, they're telling you you're acting like a toddler, and on the other hand, they're treating you like a toddler.
yep, especially him. Not on.
Well, I'm glad you're out of that place.
Apparently, my mum said that loads of parents were suing that school. She didn't join in, but I'm glad,
Oh,
because yeah,
yeah, gosh, no, you don't
really
want to.
expensive school.
Yeah, okay, right. Well, I'm glad you're out of there.
They had good lunches though.
Well, silver lining. Silver lining. Awesome.
You
So,
alright? Oh, never
oh yeah,
mind.
yeah, I'm good. Just having a bit of water. I'm absolutely fine. Um, so, where are we now? You're year 8, are you now, or year 7?
Yeah, I'm moving into year 9 in September. So yeah, year 8.
You're looking forward to year 9?
Well, I'm moving class, and I'm not going to see any of the year 7s. I mean, it's not going to be too bad, but um, I'm pretty scared, to be honest.
Scared.
Um, things are going to change. Um, well, not used to, but I had this TA called Dan at my school. He's pretty great. Um, we have like one-to-one sessions at the end of the day. Um, recently, he hasn't really been around, but apparently, he won't spend as much time in year 9. He'll spend more time in like the lower class, which is going to be very
Yeah, sure, sure.
sad. But yeah,
Um, what does change feel scary in general?
I
Do
I
you like
mean,
routine? Do you like novelty?
I feel like I do like change, but when I'm not expecting it, like the other day, the chairs moved. I feel like I was kind of pissed, but I feel like everyone was. So I'd say I'm relatively okay with change.
Yeah,
Kind of depends what that change was. I mean, I wouldn't mind, the tables being moved, but I think I'd mind moving house or something.
yeah, yeah. That's upheaval. You said earlier you got a brother. Do you get on?
Not really, but I feel like we've been getting on okayish more than normal recently because he said that he's gonna buy the South Park game on his Xbox in a month,
Okay,
which
okay,
is cool, and he's gonna play with me.
awesome. That'd be good. That'd be good for you to bond over.
Yeah,
Would you
because
say? Would you say you're an optimistic person?
I mean, I mostly assume the worst sometimes because I mean, say like it's the end of the school day and I'm like, oh, I really want a McDonald's. I can't wait till this McDonald's. And it's closed or something like that. Or, it's always, if I assume like, it's like the world's playing tricks on me, you know? When I really want something and I say it's definitely going to happen, something happens so it won't.
Yeah, that is the bane of my life. It's awful.
So
And
I
then,
want to assume the worst.
yeah, but a lot of the time you also say, well, things could be worse. You know, I've heard you say that a few times during this chat. So that's why I asked, are you optimistic?
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty optimistic.
Yeah, realistic, I'd say.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because I mean, I like optimistic people, but I feel like it's fair to say that it can get on your nerves. You know, people always assuming the best in people.
Yeah, they're setting themselves up for failure.
Yeah.
Sometimes like really happy people annoy me as well. Like when it's constant, relentless, unchanging joy. And it's like, and people are like, oh, is that because you're jealous of their joy? It's like, no, not necessarily. It's just like, how?
Unrealistic.
Yeah, it's like,
Fate.
I don't want people to be miserable, but like, I want to see diversity of emotion.
I mean, usually like there was this really good show called Wilds on Prime, and there was like this character who was like happy all the time. So they're stranded on an island, and then there's like Christian girl who was like happy all the time. Turns out she was hiding like a really dark secret, and I thought that was a good plot line because I don't know where I was going with that either.
That's all right. It's okay.
I was just saying it's a good show and you should watch it.
Okay, right. I'll put it on my list. Awesome. This may be a difficult question to answer, and you're under no pressure to answer it, but how do you feel about yourself after all of your experiences? Like, do you like yourself? Do you not like yourself? Or is it hard to say?
On a scale to 1 to 10 about how confident I am and how much I trust myself, I think I'll give it a solid 7.
Okay. And if I asked this about 2 years ago, would you have given me a different answer?
No. I feel like I was in a very dark place when I was in that old school. I mean, obviously, it sucked there. But I think I'd probably give a 3 because I feel like, yeah, always being talked down to and stuff, it's not going to do very like favors to you, up here. So yeah, I feel like I've come a long way, and I'm really I'd say I'm pretty proud of myself, to be honest.
Good. Yeah, I'm proud of you too, and it's I think you're awesome, and it's lovely speaking to you.
Oh, thank you.
It's okay. Got any special interest right now? Apart from art, anything that you're really fascinated by?
Well, apart from shows, okay, this is going to be quite embarrassing, but I really love dolls.
Moles?
Dolls.
I thought you meant moles, like
move around.
dolls. Okay.
I mean, not like the real childish ones, but hang on.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to see. Okay. Okay.
So, this is a pretty embarrassing secret, but I feel like it's going to be useful if I tell you. This is Red. She's been around since I was 3, and I feel like I took her everywhere when I was 7. So she's basically been a pretty good companion for quite a lot of my life. And she has like a whole cupboard just full of clothes. And would you say that's a hyperfixation? I mean, I take her everywhere.
I would say that qualifies as a hyperfixation, yes.
She always seems like a real person.
Yeah, like there's a phenomenon observed in autistic people called object personification. So it's like, let me give you some examples. So if I put the spare pillows on the floor at night, I will leave them face up so they don't suffocate. Or I will make sure I use a different plate every night in case some of the plates feel left out.
That's exactly what I feel.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I feel it mostly in stuffed animals and just objects that sort of look like people. But yeah, I feel really strong connection with my toys and stuff,
Yeah.
because I mean, after I watched Toy Story when I was 7, it's sort of just,
Wow.
well, it's not only that, but I'd say, yeah, it's a pretty big part.
Well, I can imagine a film like Toy Story really struck a chord.
And
yeah.
yeah, I feel like I do have a very strong connection with dolls and stuff, because I mean, they always want to do what you want to do, you know. They basically say what you want them to say, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that's probably why a lot of autistic people I know end up empathizing more, not just with their pets, but with their belongings, with their inanimate objects, because it's like, well, they don't let me down. They're loyal. They're a good listener for when I'm needing to vent, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she just sort of sits there quietly, you know, just with that constant smile.
Oh, that's nice. Well, yeah.
But yeah, I remember telling like my old friends, well, not my old friends, but you know, people in my old school, and they thought it was insanely creepy. They think dolls are really creepy, and I used to own, I think it was 100 and something, 105, 108 different vintage dolls, and most of them had a name. And I remember showing like my collection to my old friend I'm still sort of friends with, called Bethany, and she was really freaked out, and I had no idea why.
Oh man, you said 108.
I think so, yeah. They were sort
of absolutely a hyperfixation then. But the thing is, Rose, our hyperfixations mean the world to us, and so it would really, really hurt if we go to share. I'm holding that as I speak. That's Freddie
Mercury.
Yeah, it is. Freddie Mercury's my special interest. Isn't he great?
He is great.
And look, can you see his teeth?
Cute detail.
Yeah. Right, where was I? Lost my train of thought. Yeah, so our special interests mean the world to us. So it's a lot of this is tied in with trust, because if we are showing other people our special interest, we have to trust them with what is essentially like an extension of who we are. You know, it's like we feel such an affinity with our special interest. It's just like part of our soul. So if people are negative about them, God, it really hurts. Really hurts.
I mean, I felt like it was kind of understandable, you know, because like, you know, movies like Annabelle and Child's Play, like, of course, but and also they were vintage, so they were like the classic creepy doll with the sort of like shut eyes things.
Yeah, I get it.
Throw them all away now because I think they're kind of gross and they're all broken. But I still kept the ones that I really love.
Okay.
And you know, yeah.
You didn't throw them away because of what other people thought, did you?
I don't think so. I think they just sort of cluttered up my house, and not my house, but our house. And yep, I just wasn't really interested. I mean, I still have a few, but yeah. I still have a lot though. I mean, this is also going to be quite embarrassing, but I actually bought 3 new, I think they were Once Upon a Zombie dolls, and they're sort of like Barbies things, but I can't help myself. They have movable arms. I can't help myself.
Yeah, because you're saying
especially movable arms. That's what I love.
Arms are a thing, yeah.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
I can't remember now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry, you're good. Because we're coming near to the end of our time here. Are you still cold? You're feeling okay?
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty cold, but you know, I'm fine.
Okay, you got a nice warm blanket. Is that okay? It's cool. Yeah, just making sure. What's it like when people tell you what to do?
I mean, I'd say it's okay most of the time. Like, it's not like every time it's just like, oh, I can't do it. Ugh. But sometimes in schoolwork, like in English, I don't know. I just thought it was not only pointless and, I mean, come on, animal superheroes, but it was almost like I wanted to ask for help, but I just couldn't, you know? I mean, especially in maths and English, it just happens too common. It's too common for me. And it sucks, but yeah, it's like this sort of overwhelming sense of I can't do it. I won't even try. Everyone else can do it. I've already started denying it, so why should I like give up? And it's almost like everything's a battle. I never win. So
gosh, that must be exhausting and painful.
It's so painful because I think I just envy all the other kids, and you know, Mum always says it's a gift, you know, when you grow up it's going to be a gift, but it's just so hard right now.
I understand, especially when you're comparing yourself to others. But Rose, seriously, you are really cool. You're a great person, you know, and any friend would be very fortunate and lucky to have you as their friend.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we've been speaking for an hour now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just wrap things up here. Thank you everyone who's tuned in to the Naughty Autie in conversation this evening. That was Rose Wise. Thank you, Rose, for joining me for an awesome discussion.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Honestly, that was awesome conversation and a valuable contribution. And I'm sure many autistic people on my page and parents of autistic children are going to find this immensely helpful. So thank you. You've learned a lot too.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's exactly how it should be. We're learning as we're teaching. So that's music to my ears. Awesome. Thanks, Rose. And yeah, to everyone who tuned in, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.